Pete, I do want to get into that clip from Sam Pittman because I know you talked with him about Taylor Green a little bit. Before we get into that, college athletics, maybe you're just having a bad win. What is your beef? What are you irritated by here this morning? Mine was fake accounts. I fell into a fake account Twitter yesterday.
Yeah.
What's your
beef? The SEC's breaking away from the NCAA.
What's your beef this morning?
My beef, it's driving me crazy how no one can agree on the college football playoff. It's like, can we just get it to a spot where fans can actually understand it?
I keep going back and forth on it, and every, what was it, Matt Rule said he wanted like 44 teams or whatever it was. Some wanted to, I think Kiffin was like, Kiffin said he just like keep it at 4. I know that, again, there seems to be continuous bickering with what's going on there.
You know, everybody wants expanded playoffs, 44 teams. You know, is anyone over here arguing for the old way? Let's just go absolutely the opposite direction. No playoff, no bowl. We'll just have the writers vote. We'll just have a vote, and that'll be it. No,
BCS again.
Just to go all the way to the other side. There needs to be a counterbalance to that argument.
I'm all set on that. I like the playoff, and I want the playoff to stay. I just think the bouncing around from the number of teams and how the format's set up. I just, like, when was the last time, like, we actually spent this much time talking about the NFL postseason in frickin', May? We're coming up on June. It's like, I just think end of the day, it's just going to lead to more confusion and the bickering and the disagreement and the lack of clarity around the college football playoff definitely isn't growing the game.
Yeah, because this is about TV. This is about money. It's not about actually improving the format of identifying a champion, because I'm of the belief 12's too many. We've already exceeded the need of what of the number of teams that really need to sit at the table. I think 8's about the right number if it was actually about the format, the championship, and making sure everyone that had a reasonable case to claim a title was at the table. Do you think 8's enough, or should it be 12 or even more?
I don't know if there's a perfect number. I like 16. I always think it's fun how the FCS playoffs are set up. I think the more games, the better, more entry. I know some people don't like that everyone gets a trophy narrative. I'm also, guys, I spend so much time talking to people, I don't exactly have the most, formed opinions on some of this stuff because it's my job to report it and not, dish off take. So I don't know what the perfect number is. I think 16's fine. I think from talking to people, though, college sports is going to enter a very interesting landscape if we move towards a model where the SEC and Big Ten have more power, and I think it just sets up the pathway for the future for a Super League.
So, Pete, you mentioned reporting. One more question before we get to some Arkansas stuff. You were accurate, spot on about the Nico and all the situation with Tennessee and now at UCLA. Just kind of take us back a few weeks ago, what that was like, just that process and everything else. And did you actually think he'd end up somewhere else besides Knoxville as now he's in UCLA?
Yeah, no. I know when I put out that story, it was on a Thursday. I just remember putting it out and being like, this is what I'm hearing. This is what the situation is. Obviously got quite a few shots taken at me on social media is what it is. I just never, I knew that the relationship between Nico and Tennessee wasn't in the best spot. I just, at that moment when I put that story out and working with my editors and stuff, I just didn't think it was going to get to the point where it left Tennessee. I just didn't, if he told me that, I could not have drawn it up like that. So it's going to be really weird seeing him playing in powder blue in Westwood this fall. And I know you guys are dealing with the aftershocks at Arkansas, too, with Madden following his brother back to UCLA.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Now, Nico is going to be one of, I think, 6 returning quarterbacks in the league. Now with him departing, I think there's just 5. Taylon's one of those guys. As you see the pecking order of this league with quarterbacks, particularly returning, I'd probably put Nussmeier up there at the very top. Where is Taylon on that list of quarterbacks in the SEC this fall, Pete?
I mean, I think you have to say he's in the upper half. I think what he did last year was really impressive, and then how he was able to still help Arkansas win football games when he's hurt was even more impressive. And the way Sam Pittman talked about him and how limited he was definitely made you start thinking about, like, okay, like, well, if he wasn't fully healthy last year and still won some football games, like, what can he do in 2025 with another offseason of Bobby Petrino? But, I mean, I'm not saying anything here that you guys don't know about, but I would say that a lot of the 2025 season is going to be on Taylor Green's shoulders and what he can do for the offense and staying healthy. I think he's definitely in the top half. I don't think he's better than Nuss. It's hard to figure out where to put Arch Manning in that conversation, just because, the expectations are sky high, but we really haven't seen him start that many football games. Taylor Green is definitely one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC entering 2025.
With revenue sharing coming in, Pete, and, a semi-leveling of the playing field when it comes to NIL money and the money that can be shared with players, will teams like Arkansas, will teams like Mississippi State, teams like Vanderbilt that had a rise next year, will we see more parity across the Power Two with the Big Ten and the SEC, or will the rich just still have a gap? Will the bigger teams still have the gap that mid-level and lower-level teams can't overcome?
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity for parity. I'm skeptical we're going to see any of that in 2025 because so many programs front-loaded, NIL contracts the last 6 months before revenue sharing kicked in. So I don't think the parity that revenue sharing could bring is going to happen this fall. There's definitely the chance of it in 2026 and 2027, but I'll be honest, guys, until we see enforcement or until this NIL clearinghouse actually comes down on an athlete and says, you can't sign this deal or you're going to be suspended or something like that, I am extremely skeptical that the blue blood programs that have found ways to, provide a competitive edge in the NIL era are going to just simply disappear and not continue the way they've acted in the last 4 years.
When you look at Sam Pittman, where he's at 5 years under his belt, what's important for him this year? Is it just getting to a bowl game? Is it winning 7 or 8? What's the outside perspective on Sam Pittman and his future at Arkansas?
So I wrote about this, and I know you guys want to get into it a little bit more, but there was definitely the speculation, the rumors last November, is this it? Is he going to come back in 2025? Obviously, he came back. He had hip surgery. He told me he feels better than ever. He's walking 2 miles a day. I would say the goal, I don't want to say it's the ceiling, but I think the expectation is he's got to win at least 7 to 8 games and make a bowl game. I think that's from talking to Sam and then obviously just trying to gauge where fans are at. I think that is kind of where that's where Arkansas needs to be in 2025. Taking a step back definitely isn't going to be acceptable, especially with a quarterback coming back in year 2 in the system. And I'm going to be really interested to see how the defense can take a step forward.
You think about their SEC slate. By the way, Pete Nakos on 3 with us here on the Lewis Automotive Group hotline. So that Ole Miss game, Pete, is really interesting to me. You got Simmons, first year as a starter after the Jackson Dart era ends. They've got a whole new slew of transfer players, kind of like they had last year. Is that a game Arkansas could pick off early in Oxford, just with so many players on an Ole Miss roster and having a veteran quarterback walking into Vaught Hemingway?
I am extremely interested to watch Ole Miss play football. And I was on, I did something with Alabama, radio station Alabama yesterday, and they're like, how do you feel about Alabama? I'm like, I got to watch Alabama play some football before I'm standing on a table and thinking they're going to make the playoff or something. And I kind of feel the same way about Ole Miss, just because they did bring in so many transfers. And, year over year, Lane Kiffin has kind of struck gold in the portal. And can you do that again this year? And, it felt like there was a couple more surefire players in last year's portal class compared to this year's. Does it all look good? Does it all go well? I don't know the answer right now. I don't think we're going to know the answer until they put a football down on the field and go head-to-head with an opponent. I'm excited about what Austin Simmons can do, but I'm also not I think Ole Miss is obviously a preseason top 25, but I think we really need to see them play some football first. So to answer your question after my breakdown on Ole Miss football, I think that it's definitely an early season game that's going to be a huge test to see how Arkansas can stack up against SEC opponents, and it's also going to be a good early season test to see how legit is Ole Miss in 2025.
Pete, last one before you let you go. You mentioned Ole Miss portals additions, and I know Lane Kiffin's had a lot of success there. Arkansas got a few guys, Shaq McCroy, Kittler. You retained Carmona. I know Arkansas's offensive line has really struggled the last 2 years. That's Sam Pittman's calling card. He's made his money in college football because of that. Is that going to be the thing that maybe pushes them over the edge in 2025 where they could get to that 7 or 8 wins like you're talking about?
I know that's what Sam's thinking. I know that he thinks, from talking to him, I think he's encouraged by what they did in the portal on the line of scrimmage. He really likes Corey Robinson, the Georgia Tech transfer, and a couple other guys. So I think that there's some confidence there that offensive line can do what he wants it to do.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing and we're into the NBA and NHL playoffs, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the MLB, NBA, NHL, and UFC, BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering information. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.